Well, it's that time of year again when we get to enjoy none other than Quakecon. Even though this year is digital, there's still been some exciting news to come out of this year's event. Today, I will be focusing on the information we got about Fallout 76 and Skyrim. Yes, you heard that right. I said Skyrim. More on that in just a bit.
It's so great to have you with us for our Fallout 76 panel. I'm Nate Valenta, Senior Community Manager for Fallout 76.
And I'm Devin McCarthy, Associate Community Manager. As you can tell, we're a little separated by distance right now, but that seems pretty on brand for Fallout 76.
That's right. The beauty of Fallout 76 is that we can explore the wasteland together, even when we're apart. And that's exactly what we're going to do today as we explore how Fallout 76 continues to evolve.
We'll be getting into a ton of details on our new Fallout Worlds initiative, but before we get into that, let's talk about some of the big changes to Fallout 76 in recent years.
Joining us today from the development team to share their insights are Bo Buchanan, our Fallout Worlds lead,
Hi.
and Mark Tucker, design director.
Hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, very excited.
Let's kick things off by talking about the Steel Rain update, which landed in July. What did Steel Rain bring to Fallout 76?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Steel Rain is a continuation of our Brotherhood of Steel Returns story arc that we started last year with Steel Dawn. So we're continuing that quest line. There's a lot of characters that were introduced in Steel Dawn that you'll continue to get to know and learn about. There's new characters you're going to meet and have interesting choices and dialogue with them. In addition to that, we've also got an expansion to our legendary item system, which is our legendary crafting feature. Not only do you get to craft new legendary items, we've added new legendary mods, as well as expanded it to legendary power armor. So a lot of fun stuff there, both on the story side and on the gameplay system side.
Of course, lots of great stuff in that Steel Rain update. Even earlier than that, we also released our Locked in Loadout update, which included some major additions to some of our big features in the game, like camps, special, even daily ops. Mark, what can you tell us about what Locked and Loaded brought to those features?
We had a huge expansion for our camp system, namely camp slots, that gives the players the ability to have more than one camp. A lot of our players love to build, I love to build, and so now you can keep building more camps and you can keep expanding with new slots. On top of that, special loadouts gives everybody an opportunity to create new custom loadouts, not only for how they allocate their special, but also the perks that they allocate for their builds. So it really is like a completely different opportunity for players to have vastly different character builds on their same character without having to roll a new one. So yeah, it's super exciting. With daily ops, we added a whole new game mode. We added new locations. We added new enemy types. It was a pretty big expansion for our daily ops system, and the game mode we added really plays quite a bit different from the first one. We focus a bit more on stealth gameplay and kind of divide and conquer versus trying to stick together and capture a specific location. So really different. We've gotten great feedback from our fans, and we're excited to continue building on it.
So Fallout 76 is a living game, and on top of all the content updates that we're doing, the team is constantly pushing out quality of life improvements as well. What are some of the biggest changes that you've made over the past year?
We've made quite a few, and we're really dedicated to continuing in that path. We added a new tab in the inventory so you can easily find the new items you've got. In addition to that, we expanded additional tabs in the inventory to call out a difference between food and aid items. We also broke out armor and apparel. So, that makes it a lot easier to find the things that are in your inventory and kind of differentiate them from all the other item types. In addition to that, to improve inventory management, we added weight values to better provide feedback when you have, lots of items in a single stack. How much does that weigh? On the paper map, we added a pop-up widget that shows a lot more information for player vendors. So now you can see when player vendors are selling different legendary item types, plans for different legendary items, and things like that. So it's a lot more comprehensive information there, so you can go to somebody else's camp and find what you're looking for.
Sounds like a lot of really great updates to the game. How have players been reacting to the improvements, and how does the team decide which improvements to focus on?
The quality of life stuff usually generates a lot of positive feedback from our players, and really that's why we do it. We do this for our players, and what drives the future lists that we focus on are feedback from our players. So we listen to what they're saying, where they might be hitting friction points in the game, or just where they see some problems, and we're keeping track of that. We have a very long list of future quality of life changes that we plan to make.
Speaking of panel, and it's time to talk about what's next for Fallout 76 with Fallout Worlds. Bo, what is Fallout Worlds?
Well, people have been seeing it as a kind of feature that we're adding to the game that adds world settings and those kind of things. But really, Fallout Worlds is kind of like a belief and a initiative to try to add the legacy of user customization to 76, right? Bethesda has a long storied history of allowing users to customize games, make them their own, tell their own story. And that's something we want to do in 76 as well. But it's an online game, so it takes a little bit more to do that than some of the single-player games. So I kind of think of this as kind of the first step to allowing more user customization.
And so we're doing that by introducing 2 new modes, Custom Worlds and Public Worlds. What can you tell us about the difference between those and how will players interact with them?
Yeah, sure. So public worlds are kind of our thing for everyone. We really want everyone to be able to experience the ability to have some version of the story being their own. So with public worlds, we take the general framework that we've provided, right? The ability to split out the progression, to kind of protect your main character in the live, vibrant game, and let us do crazy stuff. So with a public world, we can take some of the customization that we've enabled and we can basically curate it into a type of world that everybody can experience, regardless of Fallout first. It's like adventure with different progression. And we'll rotate these. Right now we're going to do it every month, and we'll see kind of what the community and everyone really feels about that. We might do it faster, we might do it slower, but at the moment we're committed to try to keep one of those up at all times. Custom worlds, on the other hand, are for our Fallout First members and their friends. It's where you can take the full customization available, and you can decide how you want the story to be told, right? You can go in and change all the different settings, change combat, change how workshops work, your camp, all those kind of things, and really make an experience that you would like to play and that your friends and family can play with you.
Custom Worlds sound awesome, and we're going to get into them in just a second. But if we could step back to Public Worlds for a moment, what are some of the themes that you're really excited about that we're going to be bringing to the game in this update?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different public worlds set up, and we kind of plan to keep adding more and playing with them in the future, depending on what the community wants and what they kind of react to. So for the moment, one of my favorites is actually the Happy Builder one. It allows players in the game to kind of place their camps in more locations throughout the game. It also allows them to be able to place items with fewer constraints, right? So if you want to do my personal favorite, which is kind of build a Mario platformer in the game, you can kind of do that now, and you can do it off some of the more interesting areas in the game, right? You can build it on top of a mountain or on top of some of the existing buildings. That's one of my favorites.
Do you have 2 favorite custom world settings?
Yeah, even though my favorite world is actually the building one, my favorite custom settings more align with combat. I actually really like the kind of personal proximity spawner. Something we put into the game to kind of give you more pressure as you're playing. We spawn creatures around you as you're playing the game. That way you can kind of keep the pressure up. It's like your own personal random event kind of popping off as you're playing. The other one I like a lot is we have infinite ammo, which most people find when they're looking at the settings. But if you hit the clicker just one more over, you'll see infinite ammo with no reload. That's actually one of my favorites, especially because some of the guns, like the black powder rifle, you can just kind of fire as fast as you want. So with endless VATS and the infinite ammo, no reload, you can just kind of kill everything. It's great.
It's a deadly combination. What about you, Mark? Do you have 2 favorite custom world settings?
I like to focus a lot on building as well, and for me, the setting that allows me to build at a lot of the named locations in the world is a lot of fun, because now I can take these cool locations and make them my own. That, coupled with larger build radius and build height settings, allows me to really be truly creative with all of our camp assets and just going to go wild with modifying these locations.
We still have adventure mode and private worlds with this update, but Fallout Worlds is introducing custom worlds and public worlds. What happens when I take my character from, let's say, adventure mode and I want to head over into a custom world with my friends?
Whenever you play in a Fallout world, we tried to make it very seamless and easy to deal with. So as soon as you click play, regardless of how you join, we basically automatically fork your adventure character that you have selected and separate it out. So now you have like your own line of progression associated with that specific world, whether it's a public world, your friend's world, your own world. You can now tell your own story, make your own progress down that line. None of that comes back into the main games. You don't have to worry about if you damage your character, or you do something you regret, or if you're playing with more free settings that we have. It doesn't affect your main character. You can also at any point click a re-import button and basically remove the progress that you have and then re-import it from adventure, so you can just kind of pick back off. That way, if any time you go back to your main adventure character, you progress a bunch and you want to start back over and catch back up on your custom world or public world, you can.
I do have one other question, is how come we decided not to allow progress to go back into adventure mode? Are you able to expand on that at all?
I know a lot of people are really interested in allowing that to happen. Most of it, like I said, this is a longer term initiative for allowing user customization to come into 76. So we want to start in a more conservative way to make sure that our game is safe for everybody and that you kind of only encounter the content that you want to encounter and you don't kind of jeopardize what's going on. So we wanted to start from the safest place we could, which is it's separate. You can go and play, nothing comes back. And then in the future, we can look at trying to tone that down a little bit as we have time and, as people want those kinds of features.
How does Fallout Worlds work with Fallout First members and their friends?
Fallout Worlds works a lot like the adventure private mode that we've had the entire time. You can play on a custom Fallout world. It's the same thing. You can set it to be team only or friends only. And you can have up to 3 slots of those. And at any moment, you can spin them up, you can play on them, your friends can join you through the social menu. If you have friends that also have Fallout First, once they have a world link, they have a character basically on one of your worlds, they can go through the play menu and they can spin it up whenever they want. They'll basically have their own version of it. They can play on it, their friends can join them, more of your friends can join them. That way you don't have to be around all the time. But it does take Fallout First to enable that. If you don't have Fallout First, as long as somebody you know has Fallout First and a character on the world, you can play with them through the social menu.
Being able to spin up one of your friends' custom worlds without them even being online is one of the coolest parts about this. Looking ahead, after Fallout Worlds comes out, how are we planning to continue supporting it post-launch?
Ideally, we would like to both improve the private world flows a bit and the custom private world flows a bit, as well as adding more settings in the future. And we do keep a very big eye on our Discord and Reddit and all the things that our community team has of the type of features that our players are looking for. We have a very big backlog of settings already, even internally, of the stuff we'd like to do that we just couldn't get to.
How specifically can the community have input on the way that Fallout 76 improves and evolves going forward?
The short answer is talk to Nate. He gives me all of the suggestions for everybody. No, like I said, any of our community areas that you can get access to, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, our Discord for 76 and BGS, as well as Reddit, we kind of look at everything, every avenue we can find for players, and we really do read them and pay attention to them. Everyone's input is appreciated, and then we try to find the right things for the game as a whole.
I would also add to that for the players that are willing to download and hop into our public test server on PC. It's great for you guys to hop in and play around with some of the stuff that we have in the works and provide feedback on that, because we have definitely made changes based on player feedback on our PTS Reddit thread and through from our Discord feedback as well, just based off folks hopping in, playing stuff on PTS and giving us that feedback before it goes live.
That's great to hear. Do you have any fun or interesting stories from the World's development?
Well, we've been working on Worlds actually for quite a long time. So we have lots of things we have tried that may or may not actually work out. Obviously, as devs, right, we kind of want the same stuff that our players want. So we want things that are cool, we want things that are interesting, and not all of them work out very well. So we tried to scale up the creature size at one point, and I have screenshots and videos of it. It was a lot of fun. It also broke everything having to do with the game, so we weren't able to actually ship that one at all. But it was a lot of fun. Hopefully, in some time we can try that one again.
See a giant Deathclaw marching through the screen. How about you, Mark? Do you have any favorite stories from Worlds development?
I'm with Bo. The scaling one was quite memorable, both in terms of scaling things up, but also scaling things way down. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, as Bo pointed out, that one was rife with problems. So that one will stay on the dev side for now. But it's been a long process. There's been a lot of work. I'm really proud of the team and what they've accomplished. And I'm looking forward to getting this out there in players' hands and getting their feedback and seeing where we take it.
Well, speaking of feedback, Mark, you mentioned this earlier, but Fallout Worlds is available right now on our public test server. If you own a Bethesda.net copy of the game on PC, you can hop in there, try out public worlds. Fallout First members can join custom worlds, and hey, if you've made friends with someone who's got Fallout First, you can try out their custom worlds as well. So we would love to see you in the PTS with us and sharing your feedback in Discord, on Reddit, everywhere you can.
And if you're not in the PTS, don't worry, you'll be able to get your hands on Fallout Worlds very soon with its release on September 8th. And it'll be on all platforms as well.
So aside from Fallout Worlds itself, this update's actually going to include some improvements for other features in the game as well, like a new season, a daily ops expansion. Mark, can you tell us anything about that?
We have our 6th season coming out. It is the Unstoppables versus the Diabolicals, which is this whole new group of supervillains. It also features all of the Unstoppables, so super exciting. It's got a lot of great rewards. One of my personal favorites is a new power armor suit based off of one of the Diabolicals enemies, Samurai. So you can imagine what this power armor suit might look like. It's super cool. On top of that, Daily Ops, we're expanding that. We're adding a new enemy encounter group type. We've added 3 new locations to the rotation. We've got Wotoga High School, we've got Arctos Pharma Biome Labs, and Uncanny Caverns. On top of that, we're doing a new kind of weekend event with Daily Ops that's going to feature a more challenging version where we're stacking mutations, so it's double mutations. But with that comes double the reward. So we've got some really fun combinations of mutations. One of my favorites is a combination of the swift-footed mutation with the active camo mutation. So you're wandering around and all of a sudden these enemies just appear out of nowhere right next to you because they're moving so quickly and you can't see them. It really does add some fun challenge to the mode.
Well, that sounds terrifying. And I know some folks in the PTS are already trying those out and having a blast with it.
There's some new and returning events for players to take part in, from Spooky Scorch to Treasure Hunter. We have trick-or-treating coming. Do you guys have a favorite event?
Well, I am super excited about the Spooky Scorched trick-or-treating event. Obviously, the Spooky Scorched are going to be wearing a lot of fun costumes. A lot of them you've seen before, but there might be some new ones. On top of that, though, it's not just going around and killing a bunch of Scorched in costumes. It's more about collecting a certain type of candy, and we're going to allow players to go to other player camps and effectively trick-or-treat from a special object in the camp. So I'm excited about this. We're going to really incentivize players to want to dress up in their own costumes as well. So it's a really different kind of event than we've done before because we're trying to incorporate player camps into the event, and hopefully players will decorate their camps and give them a spooky theme along with it.
Trick-or-treating sounds so hype. I'm excited for that. Beyond that, are you able to tell us anything else about what's coming to Fallout 76 this year?
Speaking of events, we have more events in the works. We're looking at additional seasonal events later in the year. Super excited about that. One might feature something about the Mothman cultists. The other one might feature something about aliens. I'll leave it at that. And on top of that, we are going to continue to expand on our legendary item system. So we're going to introduce 4-star legendaries into the game, and we're going to give you a lot more agency in terms of how you're crafting, what you're crafting. We got a lot of feedback from the initial crafting system we just put out, so we've taken that feedback and we're applying it to the 4-star legendary system. So very excited about that. And of course, there will be a new season after that with a lot of cool rewards. And we are also focused on adding a lot of new quality of life additions to address some of the feedback we're getting from our players.
That all sounds super exciting, and I can't wait to experience that. Thank you guys for taking time to talk with us today, giving us a little bit of insight on Fallout Worlds and what's coming next for Fallout 76. Do you have any parting words for the Quakecon audience?
We're all really excited to get Fallout Worlds in front of people. We really hope it's a way that everyone can kind of find something fun for them to do at the end of the day, play the game in new ways, revisit content that they've played before, but they want to try something new, whether it's building in weird locations, replaying the game in a harder or easier mode. Hopefully everyone can find something that kind of excites them.
I appreciate everybody's time today. I really love our community and everybody who plays our game and provides feedback into what we're doing. We can't do this without you, so thank you. And as Bo mentioned, we've got a great release with Worlds, and we've got a lot more content and features and changes coming. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy it, and let us know what you think.
And of course, we'd like to thank each and every one of you at home for joining us today during the Fallout 76 panel. As a final reminder before we go, Fallout Worlds will be available in the live game on September 8th. And if you'd like to test it right now, you can join us in the public test server. Until next time, we'll see you in Appalachia.
Starting with Fallout 76, much of what was said we already knew. Fallout Worlds is coming. Nate and Devin spoke with Bo and Mark about the Steel Rain update and some of the features that came with it, and the features that came with Locked and Loaded as well. They then went into the next update, Fallout Worlds. As we know, this gives the players the ability to customize the world of Fallout 76 if you have Fallout First. Even if you don't have that, you will still be able to play in these custom worlds either through the public version, or if you have a friend who has Fallout First, you will still be able to play on that custom world. Now, this is where things get exciting. As long as you have played on your friend's custom world, you can go back into that world even if your friend is not online, as long as you have Fallout First. Bo talked about some of the features and the ones he liked the most, as did Mark. Bo was asked about the future plans for Fallout Worlds. He did say something that I found to be very interesting. The thing he stated was that while at launch, Adventure Mode and Custom Worlds are separate, they are planning to make it so that your character can go between both and maintain progression regardless of where that progression takes place. For now, until they add that function, we can carry over any progress from an adventure into our custom worlds. There is an option to import your character from adventures so that the progress made there goes towards your current custom world. Based on everything they said about worlds, there are a lot of things that they want to add and are working on for future updates. Next up on the information given, they spoke about the next season, Season 6. This one is the Unstoppables versus the Diabolicals, and we will get loads of new items in that scoreboard. We will also get a new update to Daily Ops. This will add the Communist faction as a new enemy, as well as 3 new locations, Watoga High School, Uncanny Caverns, and Arctos Pharma Biome Lab. Mark spoke about the new Halloween event coming called Spooky Scorched. This is a trick-or-treating event where you will kill Scorched that are dressed up in Halloween costumes and collect mysterious candy. That candy will be used with a special item that we will get for our camps to get special rewards. The idea is to go to other players' camps trick-or-treating. I think this is a great idea, and I hope the rewards are equally as great. Mark also spoke briefly about the winter update. He confirmed the Mothman Cultist event and the Aliens event, as well as the 4-star legendary content coming in that update. Both Mark and Bo gave us some really great information, and I am excited for what is coming to Fallout 76. Fallout Worlds will release on September 8th, so make sure that you get through the scoreboard before then. Now, I mentioned Skyrim earlier. Yes, I did say Skyrim. Your ears did not deceive you. As many of you know, Skyrim is 10 years old as of November of this year. To celebrate this, Bethesda has given Skyrim a free next-gen update and has created a very special anniversary edition. I know what you're thinking. Good Lord, they're having us buy yet another copy of Skyrim. I know, it seems crazy, but hear me out. First, if you already own the special edition, you can simply upgrade to the anniversary edition of the game. While we don't know what the cost is just yet, we do know that you're going to get a ton of content. Let's take a look at the panel.
I'm Jess Finster, Senior Community Lead for all Bethesda Game Studios games, and I'm excited to be here today to celebrate the 10th anniversary of a game that's very close to me, Skyrim. One of my first projects at Bethesda was working in QA on Skyrim, so we go way back. Joining me today are 3 very important guests who also go way back with Skyrim. 3 members of the original development team. We have Ashley Chang, Managing Director, Art Director Matt Carafano, and Senior Designer Will Shen. Ashley, you actually recorded a message for the Skyrim fans. Let's check that out.
As Skyrim turns 10, it is both humbling and deeply gratifying to see how passionate our players still remain, a decade later. Great things have happened because of you, and great things are coming in the future thanks to your continued support. This year, on November 11th, we're excited to celebrate Skyrim's 10th anniversary with a special event, together with you, the community. We plan to honor what you've done with the game and celebrate how the game has impacted you in the decade since its release. With this goal in mind, today we're inviting you to take part. Showcase your mods, send us your art, don your cosplay, and tell us your stories.
We're about to go pick up Skyrim.
Whether it's a heartfelt memory, a funny moment, or anything in between, we want to hear from you.
Add dragons to everything. Mecha dragons. Don't ever stop adding dragons to your game.
Share with us how Skyrim has inspired you, your friends, and your family, even your pets. In 2011, The Elder Scrolls V showcased the expansive world we created. 10 years later, let's celebrate together everything you've brought to Skyrim and all the ways you continue to inspire us at Bethesda Game Studios every single day.
We thought it would be fun to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Skyrim playing through the beginning of the game and having you guys share stories from development. But before we do that, we have some exciting news. This November, we are going all out to celebrate Skyrim's birthday and give back to the community. On November 11th, we'll be live streaming a concert featuring the original score performed by the London Symphony Orchestra. That's not all we're going to do to celebrate. We want you to join as part of that celebration by submitting your creations, your fan art, your cosplay, anything that you have, cool videos, you name it, just send it into Skyrim10.com. We're also excited to announce the Skyrim Anniversary Edition, which will launch on November 11th. This new version contains Skyrim Special Edition plus 10 years worth of content and tons of creations and items. If you already have Skyrim Special Edition, you can upgrade to the Anniversary Edition for the additional content. Launching at the same time, we'll have a free next-gen upgrade for Skyrim. You don't need to own the Anniversary Edition to experience Skyrim on next-gen consoles. Check out our article on Skyrim10.com to learn more about the Anniversary Edition. Ashley, there's something else that we were adding in Skyrim that you've been excited about that's free for all players. What is that?
Yeah, you know what? I think 10 years is is a long time to wait, but I think it's worth it. We're putting a fishing mechanic in the game. It's something that, I've always wanted to do in Skyrim. You're running around the world, exploring the wilderness. You don't have to dive in the water and click blindly anymore, right? You can now grab a fishing pole, do some fishing quests. It's a great addition to the game. It'll be free to everyone, and it really adds to, again, the immersion of the world of just running around Skyrim. You can now go and fish.
Sounds very relaxing after a day spent killing dragons.
Yes.
We have even more to talk about at the end of the panel, but for now, let's dive into the game. Driving for us today is Chris Kreitz, QA engineer. Take it away, Chris. Could you imagine that the community would be playing Skyrim 10 years later this long? What does that feel like as somebody that's been working on the game for so long?
Honestly, it's pretty amazing. We have an amazing mod community who supports our games, and we've built that over the years, but 10 years, I mean, that's insane. And we love that. We love that about our fans, that they continue to add content. It just makes the game so much better and kind of give it its own life and lets it sort of last forever. You can keep playing because there's so much to do.
And this is the iconic carriage ride that has now become, I think, a meme for the ages. How did the team settle on what the opening was going to be for Skyrim?
I think we always knew you were going to be carted off to your execution. I think at one point you were walking. I don't know when the cart ride came online. Do you remember that?
What's wrong? I don't remember the cart ride started. I remember it was like new tech we were adding, and it was very difficult to get the cart to work. So it's only in this specific scene, which is kind of interesting. But we definitely knew that you were going to be a prisoner because it's an Elder Scrolls game. So you're always this mysterious prisoner with your own past that you can kind of make up yourself. And that kind of brings you into the world. I remember us kind of talking a little bit too about how, in a way, it sort of harkens back to like Half-Life in a way. Like you have this sort of smooth intro into the game where you get some of the story and some of the setting, but you don't quite know what's going on yet before you get out into the game. And that was pretty cool.
It makes it feel believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're adding in all these snippets when they're talking about the world, like the horse thief and referencing the divines and Sovngarde, and it's all there to just sort of drown you in it. Like, hey, you're in here now. The actor who plays Rayloff there on the cart, the first person who speaks to you, he does an incredible job. Like, I threw in a lot of lines where, he grew up in this area, and now the people that have protected him are now carting him off to be beheaded. And so there's this nice mixture of like bitterness, but also sadness when he's carrying the lines. He did a great job.
Imperial walls and towers used to make me feel so safe.
What is your favorite types of characters to play when you're playing?
Well, I don't think we knew it was a thing at the time, but I definitely played Stealth Archer a lot. I played Magic. I tried everything a lot, but I'd always come back to Stealth Archer. I had no idea that was going to be like the best way to play or whatever that like everyone on the internet
that's
thinks.
The community defaults back to Sneaky Archer. No matter what race you are, what character you want to play, it's always Sneaky Archer. How about you, Will?
Two-handed sword, I think, full berserker mode, just run straight forward. That was definitely fun, and then once you're done with that run through, switch to mage, and do all the mage stuff.
Ashley?
It depends on what my mood is. If I'm doing sword and board, I'll take Redguard. Stealthy Archer is really popular. I do like to play Argonian because I'm lazy, so I can swim everywhere and I have to breathe. If I'm playing the main quest, Dark Elf is good because you're resistant to fire, so it makes the game a little easier if you're just trying to get through it.
Ulfric Stormcloak.
General Tullius.
Some here in Helgen call you a hero.
I mean, I think we grabbed the actor did Sultai from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So we added him in there as a tough military voice. The funny thing is he's staring down poor Ulfric Stormcloak, who's gagged. So it's not really the meeting of the two heads of the Civil War that it probably should have been.
What in oblivion is that?
Sentries. What do you see? It's in the clouds.
So this is the first introduction of Alduin. What were the main inspirations for Alduin's design?
Adam Adamowicz, our concept artist, did do the designs for the dragons. And we looked at an old movie, Dragon Slayer, because they're like wyvern dragons, and it was really cool. It's like ILM did the effects on that. So that was a good inspiration. And then Reign of Fire was a movie that had come out recently. We used that for like the aggressiveness for how they would stomp across the ground. That movie was a really, really cool reference. So those two films I think were good reference. And then with Alduin specifically, we had to make him, you know, a lot more intimidating. And so he was sort of like, he was like lava rock that came to life. Like he's older and ancient and just a different league from the regular dragons. That's kind of how we set him apart.
He definitely has that ominous look to him compared to some of the other ones. I mean, they're all scary when you run into them, but he definitely has like that almost devil horn look to his head. How did you develop the dragon language? What goes into creating a whole new language?
Oh wow, that was almost entirely Emil.
So yeah, Emil did the language itself and what all the words mean, and then the idea for the shapes was our concept artist Adam again. He was thinking about how would a dragon write and what would that be like. So the actual characters are imagining dragon claws, like turning and scraping rock. So those are all basically dragon scratches to make the characters for the language, and then Emil took all that and just ran with it and came up with the shouts and the language and what all the words meant. So it is like a partially full language that we use for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and all the gameplay-wise, all the shouts had 3 components. So every time you see the writing, their entire language is built on combining 3 words together. So they're making all their writings and language and stuff out of combinations of 3 symbols each time. So there's a specific rhythm to it. So the big moment with, are you going to choose the Empire or the Stormcloaks here? When we originally wrote this, I actually had like full dialogue come up and you can ask them questions and things, but like there's a dragon flying around and you would just die because we were locking you in. So that's when we decided, okay, they're just going to stand off and then go to do 2 different entrances, and where you physically go is the choice.
Who do you usually pick?
Oh, I go with Rayloff all the time because I love his voice actor. But Hadvar's good too.
Keep moving. Come here.
I always think it's funny, like this is the best part of character gen because the Empire is basically like, yeah, we were just about to decapitate you, but don't worry about that. That was a mistake. Just come with us. Trust me. We need your help. Like,
yeah, we had to have like Hadvar doing heroic things to make you realize the Empire's not so bad. That's why he's rescuing the kid. He's like leading you to save you from the dragon, even though he was just about to kill you. He's like, oh,
we're friends now.
It's fine. We got bigger things to worry about now.
See if one of these chests has some armor for you.
And this is a community question from Get Kleenex. When writing Skyrim, did you have an idea for the conflicts already? Or were they always going to be what they were? Or did you come up with things on the fly, like as the development process went?
Oh, I think we knew about that super early.
Yeah, the Civil War was sort of the backdrop for the whole game. We knew that. And we knew that you as the player, you weren't going to necessarily end the Civil War, but you could like help shift things a little because we wanted that conflict as part of the story, but it wasn't the main part of the story. The main part is that you're Dragonborn and you have to defeat Alduin. So yeah, that setting, that was part of the setting and always there. That was one of the early ideas. That and being Dragonborn, I think, were the 2 main things that started the story.
It's fun too, writing something with so much established fiction. So a lot of the cities and settlements are things that were referenced previously, either in earlier games or in books of other games. So we would have like one sentence that we would then have to expound upon for the entire city.
The Dragonborn Part Two it was important in this game because with Oblivion, you were just sort of an accidental hero. You were in a jail cell and you weren't anybody special. And then all the way back to Morrowind, you were like the reincarnation of a god. So we went from you were a very special character to kind of a nobody who becomes a hero to then kind of coming back to this game and saying, yeah, there's something actually special about you again and why you're the one who's going to save the world ultimately. So it's kind of fun, I guess, going through all the games and doing something different.
Great job, Crispit. If he were a normal player, he would be stripping this area. Like, he would be stealing everything right now. It's my understanding that people, because that's what I do, I steal everything and I sell it all when I get out, so I have enough
Same.
money. We try to say yes to the player. So can I open this? Yes. Can I take all of this stuff? Yes.
Yeah, we tried to make all the clutter have purpose too.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, here's things that you don't interact with. All the items had value or were useful in some way. And I think that's really important. Like, you can root through everybody's stuff and steal it, and do something with it, or at least sell it.
I've screamed for weeks. See if you can get it open with some picks.
Lock picks.
Everything we can get.
Yeah, so this is us introducing you to how the lockpicking minigame works.
Nothing feels better than getting that right, like on the first try.
Grab what you can and let's.
What are some of your favorite moments from developing the game?
It's hard to say. I think a lot of it really is, we all are working on various parts, and you don't see the game until things start coming together at the end. And it wasn't until you started seeing like the combat come together with spells, with the world, with all the game systems. There's a moment when you're making the game where it's like, oh, it's how all that stuff came together and is actually fun and interesting. It's like a switch goes off. Like, oh, okay, now everyone can see what the game is and react to it and make it better.
Yeah, and you get to a point where there's so many pieces, and then you get to see how people put the pieces together. Like, our level designers are great. Like, I remember we're playtesting one time and you're in a cave, and then all of a sudden there's a giant tower right in the middle of it, and it tells a whole story right there, right? What happened to this big stonework that's in the bottom of this cave now?
Yeah, absolutely. The way we make games, in that it's such a huge world and we have a big team that has to like fill out all these spaces, you never kind of know what everybody's going to do because there's so many areas to make. And the level designers can go build something and like mix and match all different sets and caves and architecture and just make really, really cool stuff that you don't see for a while, when you're working on the game. And it's like, oh, I didn't know we had this whole area over here that does this. It's, in a way, like as a developer, you're exploring the game the way a player would because it's so huge.
That kind of leads into my next question of what is your favorite example of like an Easter egg or environmental storytelling that you've found in the game while playing?
One of our clutter artists had taken a cheese wheel, which had a wedge out of it, and then a bunch of little cream puffs. And you would have to look at it from above, but it was the cheese wheel and the little cream puff stacked side, so it looked like Pac-Man, but only if you looked at it from a certain angle.
I feel like a lot of people on the team probably have that idea that nobody's going to find something that they added like a little touch to, but like the community is all about it and they find like everything. And that's probably like those aha moments that did happen in the game. I have a community question from the Josh Utley, sorry if I butchered your name. What have been some of the things that players have done that made you say, I didn't know you could do that?
It's something funny, and it became kind of a joke, is that you could take the bucket and end up putting it on an NPC's head, and then they wouldn't be able to see you because that's how our detection works. They actually are looking through their eyes, looking for the player, and then you could steal everything in their house. And I made that bucket, and I had no idea that that's where that was going to end up, but it was one of our early clutter assets, things we put around the world, and I wanted to make sure the physics worked right on it so we could pile stuff into it. But I had no idea people would just like turn it over and like place it on people's heads to rob the world blind. That was hilarious.
I'm a master criminal.
The exit to character gen, yes. So we spent a lot of time on this because now you're free, you're open to the world. And we wanted to present it that way, like here's this path that kind of leads off into the world, and there's a nice big reveal and a really epic view, and it gives the player the sense that like, hey, welcome to the world, and you can go anywhere, you can go play anywhere you want.
It almost seems to entice you with the paths there, but then you also can see Bleak Falls in the background, so you're probably like encouraged almost to want to go there first, even though the path is leading you somewhere else.
Yeah, we actually had to write this segment a few different times because originally we had Hadvar Ralof would offer to come with you because you just escaped this harrowing experience together. But when we did that, everyone felt obligated to have to go to the next spot, and then it wasn't the big open adventure the way we normally would have it. So we ended up having him say, okay, I'm going to go off on my own, you can follow me if you want, so that it's a little bit more at your discretion where you want to go. The game's not trying to tell you to go anywhere.
Yeah, that line was definitely the nod of like, hey, you can do whatever you want now, but if you want me, I'm heading to this town. Whenever you want to do the main quest, I'll be there. Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the scene when you walk out, something that's new for us with Skyrim is the verticality of the world. You're able to see these mountains.
See that ruin out there?
Like real mountains this time that you have to actually climb up and the weather changes. And it's that joke of, Todd saying, if you see that mountain, you can climb it. And that, when I first got out of character, that's the first thing I wanted to do was just to go up that mountain and see what was up there. And we do all this work for these NPCs that run around the world and stuff. Like, he has a lot of stuff to stay everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you 99% of people never see him, right? One day, I just for fun, I followed him and I saw all these things that had happened. And I went, oh my God, all this effort.
Oh yeah, he has a whole family there. same with Rayloff, right? Like Rayloff and Hadvar are from the same village. Right. They have family that's there. When they escape, they go. They sit down, tell them what happened. Yeah, exactly. They introduce you like this is my uncle.
There's a whole story. They'll give you gifts. They'll be like, hey, here's a gift. I'm like, you just gave me something.
Like you saved my nephew's life. You
exactly.
Take what I got. Yeah.
And now I'm gonna steal you. I'm gonna rob you blind now and steal the rest of your stuff.
Well, it's mine is yours.
Yeah, exactly.
There's dragons, so we have different priorities now.
What was the main inspiration for the look and feel of Skyrim versus other Tamriel provinces?
Well, I think a lot of it is thinking about like what kind of world the Nords live in. And we sort of settled on this term, we internally called it epic reality. And what that really means is it's very picturesque and scenic kind of all the time. So we wanted really dramatic views. And the world kind of dictates that. And then we figure out then how the people live in this world and how they would look. So how the Nords dress, what they wear, what their history is. We try to layer in a lot of the culture around you of the Nords, from the ancient ruins we're heading up to now, all the way to like how they live now in the cities. And a lot of that, like the Nordic ruins, some of the inspiration there was like, oddly enough, like Egyptian ruins. Oh, cool. And we were talking to Adam about like, how do we come up with what's an ancient Nordic, ruin? What would it be? And we wanted it to be like big stone, like buildings that were, would stand the test of time, like the pyramids or something like that, but not iconic in that way. And he ultimately came up with this idea of these sort of rib shapes. So it was sort of like giant dragon ribs.
Oh, that's cool.
That would line the ridge of mountains. So we sort of imagined them as like dead dragon temples all across the world. That's sort of where the shapes came from. With, a lot of cool like iconography inside, much like you'd see in something in Egypt. So I don't know, it was like a weird roundabout way to get there, but we wanted to sort of invent something that was inspired by other things.
Do you have a favorite region?
I think it just changes as I play. I don't know why that is. I don't know, it depends. I think actually the classic kind of pine forest mountains that we're in now, I think to me is the most iconic Skyrim, and coming up to the ruins, stuff like this. But it's nice to, get out into the tundra and have, big open views, or get up into where it's, snowing and icy. I don't know, all of it's got its own kind of feel.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Reach because I was doing a lot of writing for the city of Markarth, and that was nice because it was so different. Cool. You had all the Dwemer ruins, and they built a lot of stuff out of the dungeon kit and just jammed it into the settlement kit.
The Dwemer stuff too was pretty cool because we have this sort of, I don't know if there's a map, but we know the migration of the dwarves and where they came from. So we have them all in Morrowind and then coming through the mountains. So that's how we kind of put the dwarven stuff more heavily into the Reach, because that's where they would have traveled. I don't know that anyone would know that or care, but it was pretty cool in building the world. Like, oh, let's put a lot more dwarven stuff on, the western side of Skyrim.
How about you, Ashley? Do you have a favorite region?
So usually my go-to is I'll be in Whiterun. I'll take a carriage over to Riften, and I'll do the walk. Riften, basically towards the throat of the world, right? So basically you're walking through like this fall foliage, it's beautiful. There's a lot of fun stuff to do on the way. Then you hit the mountain and you just start going up all the steps to the throat of the world to do that part of the main quest. And so I've always really enjoyed that walk. During development, everyone playtests the game, and usually what we'll do is we'll go, hey, Will, you're going to play the Thieves Guild this time. Matt, you're going to play the Mages Guild. I remember playing a lot of Thieves Guild, so I was out in Riften a lot.
Yeah, I think that area, that Fall Forest region, we were trying to make it sort of the prettiest area in the game, if that makes sense, and it's the most like relaxing, whereas everything else is a lot harsher. So that was kind of the contrast region, to be like, it's nice over here, and then the cool part was you go to the city and you find out actually it's kind of a terrible city, and this is where the Thieves Guild's living. They're all on the lower level of the city. Yeah,
Greenlock's horrible.
We did that on purpose. We wanted it to the contrast of like, hey, that city is actually kind of bad, but it's in the prettiest location.
I kind of like that even more. Do you have a favorite dungeon? There's so many of them to explore that have like kind of different features in them.
There's tons of awesome dungeons in the game, but I actually think like Blackreach is really cool because it's so expansive and it's a surprise. It wasn't something we showed, and it was a cool moment where the player's like, okay, I've seen the map, I kind of get what this game is, and then like you go underground and stumble into it, and you're like, wait, this place is huge, and there's all these little like hidden parts to it. I think that's really cool when you do something that's like a surprise that's that big.
And this is where I believe you first see Draugr if you're going down the main path. What was the inspiration behind them?
Well, we wanted to have, undead, and we'd had Draugr before. I think we put them in Blood Moon, the expansion for Morrowind, so that's going way back. And it's a different take. Like they're not skeletons, they're not this. They're more of like mummified warriors, but we didn't want them to be slow moving. We wanted them to have, be action-oriented combat.
Terrifying.
Yeah, and they're sort of the guardians of these ancient temples. They're buried there.
I remember during Skyrim going back to Blood Moon and referencing a lot of that design and art from that, just to figure out like what did we do, how do we make that.
Yeah, early on it was kind of our only big example of something that we'd done before, unless you go back to the really, really old games. And other than there, you just know, all right, well, it's a snowy region. It's there's not as much you can pull from that. You can pull more of the lore, but not the setting as much.
Right.
So this room holds the distinction of being the room with the most developer deaths. Because we were
true.
We were
it feels
tuning,
like a death trap.
That is true.
We were tuning the balance specifically when we hit this room,
Yes.
and we kept changing the number of Draugr here, the placement of the oil trap. I think, we ran through, would just die 10, 12 times over, take a ton of notes, and do it all over again.
The thing I like about this dungeon too is if you just do this dungeon out of character gen, you got enough of everything. You got armor, you got weapons, you'll have spells, you'll have leveled up I think you level up like 2 or 3 times in this dungeon. I died a lot in this encounter too, actually. I hated this boss.
The Dragon Priest?
Yes. I would actually I would wait to hit the word wall. I would do everything. I would basically get it all set up,
That's
do
how I
everything,
played as well.
Everything, and then
pick everything up, and then do the word wall, and then go, okay, here we go. Don't die.
I do keep away, and I would try to like run around and like just hit him from time to time if I'm too low, and then like run away and go and then like come back later.
Yeah.
I think we have enough time to maybe get through this one guy, and as was said to be the case with Skyrim, we got lost with time, so we'll have to come back again and maybe do another follow-up panel where we go to Whiterun.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, he's going pretty well. Way to go, Chris. Thank you to Ashley, Matt, and Will for chatting with us today, and Chris for helping us through the game journey. We have more Skyrim to come this weekend. Join us tomorrow for a Skyrim fun run with none other than Gus Johnson. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you later this weekend.
So, on November 11th, the Anniversary Edition will be available. It will contain everything that has been released in the updates over the course of the last 10 years, as well as over 500 Creation Club content. It will also include a free next-gen update that will make the game more vibrant and lifelike. The other thing being added for free is a fishing mechanic, and that has been a long time coming. For many Skyrim fans, this is the update they've been waiting for. Now, I'm not a huge Skyrim fan, but I have to tell you, I am very excited about this update. I will definitely be getting the Anniversary Edition, and you should too. If you're a fan of the game, this should also get you excited. It was nice to see the devs give us some behind-the-scenes type of commentary to the opening sequence. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. Well, Quakecon really delivered, even though it is not in person. Let's hope that next year we can all get together and really enjoy this event in person. I will absolutely be there if it is in person. If not, then I will be sure to gather the details for all of you. With all of that, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the new content coming to Fallout 76? Is there something you are particularly excited about? What do you think about the Skyrim announcement? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like, subscribe, and share. As always, I'm just glad you stopped by, and I'll see you in the next one.